Responsibility is, if I had to kind of define it in a very short sentence, would be it's really people who are serious and conscientious about keeping commitments to others and doing things right. That's kind of as brief as I can do it. I like to think about responsibility as the ability, and that's in the word responsibility. The ability that people with responsibility have is the ability to respond, and it's responding to other people. And I find, and this is actually one of my signature themes as well. It's my number one theme. I think it's really about people who, and this is maybe more me, I like to be asked. It's easier for me to be asked by someone to do someone than to ask. I like to be asked to help, as opposed to asking people to help. That's harder for me to do. That may be part of it. Statistically, this theme falls in the executing domain, and it obviously is about how people get things done. And I think to some degree, people who have high responsibility are driven by their commitments to other people. So the promises that they make, the commitments that they make are kind of key drivers to their performance. Now, I think conceptually, this theme could also fall in that relationship building domain, because I think there is an effect, a social kind of emotional effect to being a conscious, conscientious, dependable, trustworthy person. People tend to kind of count on you and depend on you, and they're kind of, so I think it conceptually can fit in that relationship building domain as well. Some of the nouns that I think help to define the nature of this responsibility theme, these are owners. I often say they're owners, not renters. And when you own something, you take it more seriously. And so when they own a project, own a commitment, they really take that pretty seriously. They are servants. I think there's a strong service orientation to this theme. When you think about the ability to respond to other people's requests or other people's needs, there is a strong service or almost customer orientation. So responder might be another word, someone who is responsive, a responder. Maybe a bit more reactive than proactive, depending on what are the themes you might have with that. I think there is a thread of perfectionism in this theme, and it's really about people who want to do it right, and right can be about kind of qualitatively, could be about that. It also can be about right with regards to values, kind of rightness and wrongness. There's a right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things with regards to almost some ethical implications to this. Some adjectives that we might use. Conscientious would be a word. Driven. I think driven. People with responsibility are driven just like people with achiever are driven. They're driven in slightly different ways, but I think responsibility might feel a lot like achiever to other people. I think another important word is duty. There is a kind of a and maybe it's another word would be should. I should do this because I said I would do this. So there's a kind of a shouldness and so duty. It also could be committed, sacrificial. In fact, sometimes I think sometimes this kind of sacrificial part of this particular theme can almost get close to being martyrdom. That may sound like an extreme, and I think sometimes people can be, my wife will sometimes use this phrase, and when I'm not at my best, she will say, "You're kind of a martyr." And she doesn't mean that as a compliment, but it really has to do with this kind of sacrificial part. And I think that the challenge that those of us who have a responsibility have is that we sometimes say yes too quickly because we like to respond to people, and so we say yes, and we might say so much that the commitments that we make get to be so big that we start to feel to some degree oppressed by the commitments that we made, and then it becomes more about duty than joy. In fact, that's how I kind of distinguish raw responsibility from what I would call more mature responsibility. Raw responsibility feels external pressure to do the right thing. I mean, to some degree, we are motivated externally. And so when someone asks us to do something and we say yes, so we feel external pressure to some degree to say yes. Maybe that'd be a better. Raw responsibility feels external pressure to say yes. I think mature responsibilities feels internal pleasure when saying yes. It's when there's still a sense of joy about doing what they said we were going to do. It's more joy than duty, and I think that's the challenge. There's some other themes that I think could help to manage or regulate responsibility. And for example, if someone has maximizer, as one who easily says yes, this theme can help you discern between a good, better, and best yes. It's actually a theme that helps me become more aware of, should I say yes or no? Or it's not just yes or no. Sometimes it's good, better, and best yes. Positivity, I think, is a great theme to partner with. Maybe you've got it inside you, or maybe you know another person that has positivity, because people with responsibility, since they're owners, they take things pretty seriously. I don't know if this is true of Claire or not, but it's true of me. So serious-minded and conscientious, you will benefit from a partner who can occasionally help you lighten up. We can be kind of heavy sometimes because we're often kind of carrying a heavy load, and that can kind of affect how we feel and maybe how others feel around us. Relator. Serving others can cause you to neglect those closest to you. This partner might help you avoid such neglect. And then finally, activator. This partner knows that doing something imperfectly is always better than doing nothing perfectly. So an activator will say, don't sit around and wait until you understand it so you can do it perfectly. Get started, and you'll find perfection in the process rather than waiting till it happens. In terms of some of the data about responsibility, it is really a frequent theme in our database. We've got about 29% of people have it in their top 5. So it's really quite a few. It's kind of tied with learner in second place. Achiever is the #1 most frequent theme. I think it's 32 or 33%. Learner and responsibility are at 29%. The theme that is most likely paired with responsibility, and this really makes quite a bit of sense, is achiever. If you've got responsibility, there's a good chance that you might have achiever as well, which means I want to get my own stuff done, but I also want to kind of get the stuff done that I make promises to other people about. The least likely theme paired with responsibility is command. And that has to do with the fact, partly, I think, that command is just not very frequent with most themes, but maybe there is some difference between those two.